What's up, you guys? I'm Dan, this is Frugal Not Cheap, and today we'll look at credit card options for people with lower credit scores. So I've done quite a lot of credit card reviews, but these have generally been focused on people that have strong credit scores and are looking to maximize the benefits that are offered by these credit card companies. You can really earn quite a lot in terms of sign-up bonuses and then also cashback or other types of point rewards with these programs. But again, the cards that I've been talking about are really not for people that are trying to get their first credit card or in order to rebuild their credit history after some trouble. Along those lines, I recently did a review of the Fizz card, one that used to be kind of talked about a lot on Caleb Hammer's channel. And a commenter had said that they would prefer to pay a monthly fee to Fizz to build up their credit score rather than post a deposit for a secured credit card. So I think that's completely bonkers, but I have to say thank you to that commenter because that provided the idea for today's video. Now, before we go any further, I do want to make one thing absolutely crystal clear, and this is a common misconception that a lot of people have that are looking to build up their credit history or rebuild their credit history. And actually, it's just a common misconception all around. You do not have to pay any interest in order to improve your credit score. I repeat, you do not have to pay any interest in order to improve your credit score. So that means you pay off your balance every single month in full, and they never charge you any interest, and it still improves your credit score. It's not going to help to carry a balance month to month at all, and it's just not something that we want to be doing. So if it's me and this is either my first credit card or if this is another go after some trouble in order to kind of rebuild my credit score and history, what I would do is I would first go online and make sure the card is set up to pay the full balance automatically every month on a date that makes sense for me. And then either I would use this card as a debit card up to whatever the credit limit is on the card, or, and I think this is probably a better idea, especially for someone who's rebuilding and has had bad financial habits in the past, I would find just a couple of bills, let's say my cell phone bill and Netflix or something like that. I would put those on this card, do everything else still with my debit card that I've been using. And so this would then put some usage on the new credit card, just a couple of bills every month. And then those would be paid in full again using that automatic payment setup. And so we'd have on-time payments and consistent usage on the card. And over time, this would improve my credit score. So that's the thing. Improving the credit score is really just a matter of time and building a good payment history. Now, there are other factors involved in a credit score, of course, and I did a video about that you can check out. Anyway, there's two ways that you might go. You could look at some unsecured cards that are designed for people with fair or poor credit. And then also a much surer bet would be to look at secured credit cards. So what secured means is that you put down a security deposit, and that deposit basically means that they're going to get at least some money back if you default that amount. But that security deposit is generally refundable, and definitely I wouldn't pick any card that it doesn't have a refundable deposit. That would be kind of weird and messed up. I don't think there's any out there, but anyway, there shouldn't be. Now, personally, I would lean more towards starting with a secured credit card than one of those unsecured cards, and you'll see why later on in the video. So here are my criteria for a good card. One would be no fees. So that means no annual fee, no other fees that are going to come up in regular usage. Second, if possible, I'd like to earn something. So I'd like to get some cash back or points or something. And third, I'd like to be with a major institution so that when I graduate, I'll already kind of be in their ecosystem and I can look at some other improved credit cards down the line. Now, of course, that third criteria isn't strictly necessary. You could build up your credit score and then move to a completely different institution to get a card. But I just prefer the simplicity of having already had a relationship with that financial institution. So here are 3 secured credit cards that, after doing some research, look good to me. Number 1 would be the Discover It card. Then we've got the Capital One Quicksilver Rewards card. And finally, the Bank of America Customized Cash. Now, all these are the secured versions of those cards. None of these cards have an annual fee, and the security deposit is, of course, refundable. The interest rates are high, but again, you do not need to pay any interest in order to build your credit score. So if it were me, I would never be paying any interest whatsoever. And so even though the interest rate is quite high, it's not a concern as long as we use these cards responsibly and don't pay any of that interest. Alright, so why the Discover It card? Well, I think it's quite attractive because it provides 2% cash back on gas stations and restaurants up to $1,000 per quarter, and then 1% back on everything else. And as a special bonus for the first year, you get a dollar for dollar match on your rewards, so that effectively turns it into 4% back on gas stations and restaurants for that first year, and then 2% back on everything else. The other cool thing about this card, because we do want to eventually, of course, graduate from a secured card to an unsecured card, is that beginning at the 7th month mark, they'll automatically do reviews to see if they can graduate you out. And of course, when you do get graduated out, you get your security deposit back. Now, the one drawback with this card is that it is a Discover card, and so while acceptance is really high here in the US, that's not going to be any trouble. If you travel internationally, that's going to be a difficulty and a major downside to this card. Interesting thing though is that Capital One recently purchased Discover, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do with this brand. Speaking of Capital One, our second card today is the Capital One Quicksilver Reward Secured Card. This card gives 1.5% cash back on all purchases, so it's a good earnings rate, and it's universal. You don't have to think about different categories and all this jazz. And actually, the unsecured version of the Quicksilver card was my second credit card ever. Unlike the Discover card, you'll have a much easier time using this card abroad. I think it'll be a MasterCard. And a cherry on top is that it also has no foreign transaction fees, so that's pretty sweet. Now, with Capital One versus Discover, it may take longer, maybe a year or more, to graduate from unsecured to secured, but really, who cares? It's not that big of a deal. And then also, Capital One does have some great cards down the line, including my preferred credit card strategy now for a few years, which is the combination of the Capital One SavorOne and the Capital One Venture X, making the Capital One Duo. And finally, we have the Bank of America Customized Cash Secured card. The unsecured version of this card was actually my first credit card ever. It may have been slightly different. I think there was some kind of a product change or upgrade along the line. But anyway, the cashback card from Bank of America was my first card. The way it works is that you pick a category in the mobile app, you earn 3% back on that up to $2,500. But then also you get 2% back on grocery stores and wholesale clubs. And then you get 1% cash back on everything else. There will be periodic reviews, it says, on when you can get your deposit back. And while the minimum deposit is $200, you can go up to $5,000, and whatever the amount that you put in as your deposit, that's what your credit limit's going to be. So if you wanted to have a relatively high credit limit, then you could post a relatively large deposit as well. Now, there is a cost to that because you could be earning interest on those dollars, but at least you are getting some cash back with this card, and there's no annual fee and all that stuff. All right, so why am I not such a big fan of the unsecured credit cards for people that have fair or poor credit? Well, if we look at Capital One, for instance, they have a Platinum MasterCard that is offered for people with fair credit. But the thing is, while this has no annual fee, you also don't earn any rewards at all. Then, if you look at a different alternative, they've got this Quicksilver One card, and this does provide 1.5% cash back. But unlike the secured card, which doesn't have an annual fee, in this case you have a $39 annual fee. So yeah, neither of those options look as good to me as the secured card, as it's just a matter of time before I get my deposit back and graduate. So there you have it, the Discover It card, the Capital One Quicksilver Rewards, and the Bank of America Customized Cash. All the secured versions of these cards would be my choice if I were starting out or trying to build up credit. Then it's just a matter of time of consistent on-time payments. I would set that all up to be automatic anyway. And my credit score will improve over time, and I'll graduate to unsecured credit cards. Hope you found today's video helpful. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.